What's happening, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Adam and this is Vancity Audi. We're back at the one and only rider performance with my RS3. It's about damn time we got back to the heart and soul of this channel, and that is content on my RS3, trying to make it quicker and faster and see just how fast we can go in the quarter mile. For those of you that aren't aware, we've been waiting for some time now for a Unitronic tune for my TTE855 hybrid turbo. We've had that installed for over a year now, and we've gone through multiple versions of actuators. When the turbo was first sent to us, it was one of the first ones, I think, and it came with one of these, an OEM actuator. We were asked to remove that actuator and install an aftermarket one. We did that, threw on some tunes from Unitronic, went through a tuning process, and found out that that actuator was a little too sensitive. The wastegate was all over the place. The boost control was not as it should have been. So TTE went back and gave us a new one. They modified that version of the actuator, sent that out, and we tried that one, and it did improve. It improved so much, actually, that there are other TTE855s in the world running right now successfully running custom software. Now everyone's like, use the custom software, just switch. And I keep having to remind people, the basis of this YouTube channel has always been, it might not be in the future, but it has always been, to showcase off-the-shelf or canned tunes. So people all around the world can see what their cars are capable of if they spend a ton of time figuring every last detail of their car out to see how their car can perform in the best conditions possible with the best setup possible. That's what I've always tried to show you guys. So I've been waiting for a tune from Unitronic, and I'm here to happily tell you right now, we have one. We have one waiting on the server for me. It is a TTE777 ID1300 injectors tune, meaning that the tune was specifically calibrated for the 777 to control the OEM actuator, as well as adding in those ID1300s for fueling. Because if you guys have subscribers, you know that we've previously installed those ID1300s to make sure we had an abundance of fuel for this beast TTE855. So all we're gonna do today is swapping the actuator from that modified version back to the OEM actuator. And we're going to then tune the car, and I'm gonna get out there, I'm gonna data log it, and I'm gonna pray to the racing gods that this works. If we see the control is smooth, linear, and not all over the map, I will then, in the next video with my RS3, bring it to Racing Greed to get it back on the dyno and finally freaking see what the TTE855 is capable of in my car running Unitronic software. Now that Kyle's removed the air intake, you can see that revised actuator that we have in there, and you can see just how incredibly tight it is. It's actually touching the heat shield, which obviously is not good. So we'll be excited to get that out and free up a bit of space using the OEM actuator. Kyle has now removed this modified aftermarket actuator. As you guys can see, it is significantly bigger than the OEM one. It also weighs a bunch more versus the OEM one. Now, as I've previously mentioned, this is being successfully used by a bunch of other TTE855 owners using custom software. But we're going to be putting in the OEM one to run Unitronic software. The main difference is you can see the wastegate lines attach in different spots, as well as the fact that the rod length is much longer on the aftermarket one versus the OEM one. So now you guys have seen these side by side. It's time to push this to the side, put on the OEM one, and cross our fingers this works. Kyle has finished the install of that OEM actuator. We took the opportunity as well to move the fuel line in behind that bolt so it's further out of the way, and now you can see we are not touching anymore. We do have a nice gap in between the heat shield and the actuator. Time to load up that Unitronic file and see what we can do. And here it is, Stage 3 E85 TTE777, meant for a built motor and ID1300 injectors with the Unitronic 4-bar map sensors, iRose's low-pressure fuel pump, 7,800 RPM rev limit, a 4,000 RPM launch control, revision 5B. Reminder, this is a beta file, guys. High-speed logging is enabled, and I must use the matching DSG file. All right, guys, time to give it its first start on this new file. Cross your fingers. Whoa, subtle. No pops and bangs on that one, but it is on, sorting itself out. Let's get out there and do a log. freaking GoPro battery just died, so you're gonna get a different angle. I have now made my way out to Mexico. First thing I can report back is the responsiveness. It does feel a bit snappier with this change of tune and the change of actuator. Now we're gonna feel what it is like at wide open throttle. I have not felt this car wide open throttle in a long, long time. I've been driving my B9S4 on a 93 octane tune using the TTE855 for some time. So I have to imagine that this car is making anywhere from 250 to possibly 300 horsepower more than that car. Ooh, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I'll be logging the whole thing with Unitronic's high-speed data logger, and then I'll be sending the logs back to Unitronic. Wish me luck. Let's do this. 2,000 RPM to redline. Here we go. Holy shit! That ain't gonna happen. My tires are spinning like crazy. It's a little too damp out on the road to handle all that power on a third gear roll. Son of a gun! I'll try one more time. Logger, recording, 2,000 RPM. Let's do this. Holy shit! Break it up, break it up. That wasn't good. Break up top. I know I had some issues with my low pressure fuel pump before, so I'm going to take a look at the logs and see what I see. Here's the log of that run using the Unilogger cable. Up top we have the motor speed, then we have the spec boost versus the actual boost, then we have the spec pressure versus the actual pressure for the low pressure fuel pump, and down below we have the lambda. Up top you can see that I hit the gas just shy of 2,000 RPM and I let off at redline, which is just shy of 8,000 RPM. As for the boost, I hit spec boost at roughly 3,800 RPM, but then it overboosted and underboosted, then overboosted, and from there on out, it was pretty damn linear to redline. So I'm going to send this back to Unitronic, and I'm sure they'll smooth this out for me. Now, I thought the breakup might be caused from the low pressure fuel pump. I doubt it. This is my spec. This is my actual. I am making more than enough fuel pressure up top with the low pressure fuel pump. And on top of that, we can see that my lambda is only 0.83. So I know I have enough fuel. So I'm thinking we're going to take a look at the coil packs and the spark plugs to see if we can figure out where that breakup came from. Well, that was one hell of a first experiencing using my TTE855 with that OEM actuator and Unitronic's TTE777 file while using ID1300 injectors. Broke traction, rolling into third. I mean, come on, there's power galore now. Second run did suffer breakup, and I'm hoping it's just coil packs or it's just spark plugs. Something. I don't feel like it's low pressure fuel pump, as I just showed you guys the log. It's way over what it's asking. And boost, it wasn't all over the place like it was before. It was nice and linear. Yes, there was a little bit of early overboost, but nothing crazy. So I will bring that information to Unitronic, let them have a look at it, and see if there needs to be any adjustments made to the file. Then I will get back to Racing Greed and get this monster back on the dyno to see how much horsepower and torque we make at the wheels before I start making future modifications for this 2023 drag racing season. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take care.